Hi, everybody. Who is ready to let this year go? 2020,
Bye-bye.
you're out of here. Almost. Maybe for some of you, it's just about almost and it's already gone. For us, it's going to be pretty soon. The fireworks are starting to go off already, and it just got dark.
And Pepper's just a little frazzled by that. So,
All right. So she's here to welcome you
Sorry
into the new
if she
year
hurts.
also. So, speaking of letting go, our challenge today was to let go of whatever anger, emotions, resentment you might be holding about your spouse. Let it go and release it to give you the freedom. And Darla is going to explain some different steps that you can go through to make that happen and to actually give yourself the gift of letting go of resentment and forgiving your spouse. Darla?
Oh, this is a hard one, huh? Well, I will tell you that people hold on to things, and especially in a marriage and couples, something might have happened years ago and it's just deep-seated in there and it's still hurting. And that's where resentment and bitterness and discontent and when you're looking at your spouse, you automatically see the negative traits instead of the positive traits. And it's like, where did you fall in love with this person and what happened? And, and sometimes forgiveness part is something that you need to do in your own heart. Either way, if you need to forgive your spouse, if you need to ask your spouse to be forgiven, or if you need to forgive yourself for something and let go, that's health-wise so important for you to do. Your heart just does not have enough space, and life is way too short to hold on to your bitterness and your grudges and your anger. So one thing to do is talk it out. And it would be great if you could talk it out with your spouse. It would, if you're not comfortable with that, if you have somebody that you can trust in confidence, that is okay to do as well. But you want to make sure that you hold the sacred place of your marriage also, where you're not just maybe end up gossiping to a friend about and bashing your spouse, because that's not what this is about either. That just gets you in a whirlwind of more trouble, because I've had people do that too. So emotionally, it's important to talk it out and say, when this happened, this is how it felt. And I'm realizing now that I'm holding on to this anger, that it makes me bitter when this happens. It brings it right back in my face again. And you've never apologized, and I don't understand why, and this and that. So at some point, you don't really have to understand what they are doing, but in your own heart, you need to let it go, because that will free you, and that will allow you to live fully and happily and let love back in your heart and your soul again. Because when you hold on to this anger and pain, it causes stress, and stress causes inflammation. Inflammation is a very ugly thing in our whole body, and inflammation is the core of a whole bunch of different disease processes. And then pretty soon you have this thing and this thing and this thing, and pretty soon you're spending your time at the doctor's office and you're getting more and more pharmaceuticals, and you're just having more things to complain about. Do you see where all of this is going? Meanwhile, that other person is doing their thing. And all of this hate and all of this garbage that you've held on to, you've just piled it in a backpack, piled it in a backpack, piled it in a backpack, and you're holding it. And you're carrying that around. It must be awful. And years go by and you don't even realize that you're holding on to it. And pretty soon you're overweight and you don't have any energy and the life is slowly going out of you. And you're saying, oh, I'm just getting older. Well, that's just with age. This is what happens. And pretty soon your relationship gets farther and farther away. It's just awful. And I see it and it breaks my heart for people. So I want to teach you just to let it go.
So let me interject here and tell you that we have friends that have gone through this. We've had clients that we've worked with in our coaching business that have gone through these things. And sometimes it's not with a spouse, it might be with a coworker, but in our case, what we're talking about tonight is with your spouse. There are some things that one of the spouses may value very much. We've talked about the 5 love languages. And if one of the spouses is not feeling loved because the other spouse is not using the right love language, they may start building up some resentment. Mm-hmm. And they may also lower their self-worth. Mm-hmm. And they may have several different things happen to them, but in the end, it can become resentment, which leads to more judgment, as Darla said, and can actually be released as anger sometimes about maybe the littlest thing, but it was the match that struck the bonfire that's been building up in this backpack that Darla's talking about. And so I am here to confess to you tonight that I am clueless about all of the many things and all of the feelings that Darla may have in her heart and in her mind and in her soul. She thinks she's able to think about and focus on 1,000 different things at once. And if I can keep one train on the tracks, I feel pretty good at the end of my day. And so I may do something not even realizing that I am offending her in some way. It's the way I say it or the inflection in my voice, perhaps. And if she takes that and I'm just going to put that in my backpack here and save it for the next time we have a disagreement, and then I'll bring it up. If she does that and keeps loading those things in the backpack, sooner or later, it just gets too heavy and it's unbearable. And then she feels like she is not receiving the love that she needs. She is giving it all and nobody's giving it back to her. And now we have this resentment and anger starting to come out. And I put the fork on the wrong side of the plate, and all of a sudden, it's fireworks. And I have no idea why the fork on one side of the plate or the other is so important. And that actual example is just something I made up because Darla is not that worried about which side the fork is on the plate. But it can happen. And you need to realize that if you are feeling something about your spouse that is a negative feeling, then try to explain it to them from your perspective. Try and help them feel how you're feeling. Most likely, they will totally redo whatever they just did, and they won't ever do it again. They'll be happy to do that. But if you just keep it inside and keep putting it in your backpack on your back, and you let it stack up and stack up and stack up until you've got this whole big backpack full of timber brush, then that one little spark is going to set that off. And the next thing you know, somebody's getting separated or somebody's getting divorced and the marriage is over all because the fork was on the wrong side of the plate. So don't let that happen to you. If you have things that are big to you but are maybe small to your spouse, and trust me, ladies, there are a lot of things that are more important to you than are important to your man. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. We can't concentrate and focus on all those things at once. And I don't mean that to disrespect men. It's just generally how most of us are wired from my experience. And you ladies can tend to handle a lot more feelings and emotions than we're able to. But if you can let your husband know what it is that is causing you grief in a loving way, I almost guarantee you that he will figure that out and he'll stop doing it. And he will do it the way that is going to be helpful for you. There is hardly any one thing besides what I'm going to tell you, ladies, right now, that's more important to your man than anything else. The most important thing to your man is to actually know that you love and respect him, that you believe in him, that you think he is the greatest. You are so happy to have him as your mate. And trust me, if he knows that, he will go above and beyond to please you, because that is really what he wants to do. I guarantee you.
There you go. We know that some things are minor and some things are major. So if you've had a major speed bump in your marriage, like an affair or something big like that, letting go and forgiving is a tricky subject. It's hard. It's hard to figure that out. So get some counseling. If you don't feel like you can talk to your spouse, come and talk to us. We're not therapists, but we're coaches, and we're happy to help you figure it out together. So, we can help. We can help with these kinds of things. We've both been through some hard stuff, and we get it, and we understand how. But we've also had to forgive, and I'm telling you, man, that it's not an easy thing to do. We're talking light because we know that you need to do it, and we want you to do it so that you can open up your heart and be free and love again. Okay, it's a huge step. So if you guys can get this, if you need help with it, please reach out to us. We'll help you. And hi, Debbie. Thanks for coming. We have other friends joining us, so thanks, you guys, and thanks for your support. And we're here for you. And one more thing. Are you done? We never know what each other is going to say, actually. We just say, hey, are you going to talk about this? Hey, are you going to talk about that? And then we just do it, you guys. So it's sort of not really scripted, but it is scripted. So now, after you let go, let's have a happy new year. I'm going to dress up in this. Happy New Year, you guys. Go have fun so you can be together again and have a great new year. And we're going to have a fresh start tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.